بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. إخواني في الله, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. I did not hear anything. Let me try that again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is my honor to introduce our next two speakers, but before I do that, I wanted to share with you a little story. In 2004, some of you were not even born, I think, but in 2004, I was in charge of the bazaar, which is to the left here. And my job at the mass convention in 2004 was also to bring all of the supplies. And I had to use a U-Haul truck, and it was manual. And I was so scared as we were going down the hill from the Inver Grove High Center. Any of you know that hill? It's a sharp hill. And then alhamdulillah, we brought the truck inside this building right here and parked it back there. I have to say that was my first time driving a big truck ever. As a young person, as a young youth in the community, that was an opportunity for me that I did not just was told to show up, but actually be part of making that conference success. And today, I want you to think about all of the young people who are here in this room today, who are making this wonderful conference happen. And I want you, all of you, to take a moment as you're walking by to thank them and to encourage them to doing the good work. This topic for this session hits home for me personally. I'm the executive director for the Council on American Islamic Relations, the Minnesota chapter. And I would say we are in a very unique time to be an American Muslim. And the 2016 elections particularly may have impacted our community in unique ways. But the one thing that I find myself in this difficult time is the silver linings that exist in difficult times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. That sometimes we hate the difficulties of things, but out of the infamous wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're actually good for us. So just like you here tonight, I'm here to listen to Imam Asad Zaman and Sheikh Walid Basyouni. The title, Using Hardship as a Catalyst for Change. This is something that I believe our community in this moment need to seize. For the first time in a long time, people who have not cared about the Muslim community are showing up at our masajids in our communities. People who did not see the difficulties and the challenges that we face are coming to our aid and support. But at the same time, we as Muslims are realizing the potential and the opportunities ahead of us. And I'm often reminded in these difficult times, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَكُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. That we are the best of nations that has come forth to mankind to enjoin the good and forbid the evil. And that means not all people are going to come out. But among our community, few will come forward to be those who enjoin the good and forbid evil. And with that, I will step away and I want to invite someone who I consider as a mentor, a friend, a colleague, and I would say one of the most tireless, hardest working imams in our community, Imam Asad Zaman, who's also the Executive Director of Muslim American Society. Please help me welcome Imam Asad Zaman.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So I want to mention a couple of ayat of the Quran and use that to drive home an understanding of how the universe works as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set it up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ألف لام ميم أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. In Surah Ankabut, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins the surah by saying, did people think that they would be left alone if they made a claim, we believe, and they would not be tested? So part of this ayah is explaining to us the concept that there is a divine law. There is a system in place built by Allah. And by the way, in the Quran, these things are called sunnatillah, the systems of Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, وَلَن تَجِدَ لِسُنَّةِ اللَّهِ تَبْدِيلًا. You will not find Allah's system to change. Okay, so Allah governs His universe that He built by a certain set of rules. And these rules are called sunnatillah. An example, for example, is the law of gravity. It says, objects have to fall down. Okay, although it's called Isaac Newton's law, it's not Isaac Newton who made this law. It is Allah who made this law. Isaac Newton discovered it. Do you see the difference? So the law of gravity was in effect even before people knew there was a thing called gravity. This is part of the sunnatillah. Whether we understand it, we don't understand it, that's how it is. Do you see what I'm saying? So in this surah, in Surah Ankabut, Allah is explaining this sunnatillah. He is saying, if people make a claim, I believe, that claim has to be tested. Hasib an-nas, did people really think, ay yutraku, they will be left alone? Ay yaqul, when they say, amanna, we believe, wahum la yuftanun, really? They will not be tested? That doesn't make sense. They have to be tested. So this is a concept I want the Muslim Ummah to understand, particularly because in these difficult times, we, the Muslim Ummah in America, are being tested. This is just a fact. So, and when the test happens, it is natural for the person to think, why me? Why am I suffering? Why do I have to go through the hardship? And Allah Azza wa Jal revealed this surah to the Sahaba as they were suffering in Mecca to help them understand why they have to suffer. And there is another ayah of the Quran that most of you have memorized, but most of us have not studied its tafsir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. We did create the human in hardship. So this is part of the sunnatillah, it is part of the divine system of governance, that things grow through hardship. And I'll talk about how to apply this in our day-to-day life in a few minutes. So why should there be hardship? So it is part of the divine nature that hardship exists. Human beings, Muslims, all humans, including non-Muslims, by the way, have to go through hardship for a few reasons. Reason number one, hardship produces growth. Imagine any seed, by the way. This is an apple seed or an orange seed. For a tree to come out of that seed has to be thrown in the ground, it has to be buried under dirt, and it has to be put in the dark. And that seed cannot produce a tree until the seed itself tears apart and a little sapling comes out of it. And somebody looks at it and says, this tiny little thing, all of this for this tiny little thing. And that person does not understand that this will grow to a giant tree that will produce 10,000 apples in the course of its life. And this is the nature of Allah. This is how Allah has set the stage. So the hardship is for growth. There is a second purpose of this hardship, which is the hardship is for purification. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains the hardship by saying, لِيَمِيزَ اللَّهُ الْخَبِيثَ مِنَ الطَّيِّبِ, so that Allah would separate the bad from the good. This separation only comes through the hardship. Because in good times, everybody is the same. It's only when things get real, only when things get difficult, then we know who has the courage to stand and who doesn't. This is Allah's system. The topic of today's conversation is hardship as a catalyst for change. And the question may arise, why do we need change? What do we have to change? And well, let's look. Here we are in the year 2019, and the prevalent politics is a politics of hate and division. In every election cycle, every 2 years, politicians promote a message of division and fear to gain political power for themselves. Now, I want to bring to your attention a few specific points. A candidate for Attorney General last year, because his opponent was Muslim, and many of you have met him personally, this Muslim, because he was running against a Muslim, he sent a flyer to his voters saying Keith Ellison is a terrorist because he goes to this terrorist event called the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. And this flyer, by the way, a woman who lives in Blaine, this is where one of my masjids is, I went to this masjid for Salah one day, and this woman, she was the sister was very, very sad and worried. She was distraught. She said, I received this flyer, what are we supposed to do about it? I want you to think about this. Because at that point, we are no longer talking about that one individual. There's one Muslim running for office. We are now talking about 1.8 billion Muslims who think Hajj is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. That actually happened right here in Minnesota. A candidate for governor last year ran his entire campaign on the false idea that Somalis are causing fraud in Minnesota and they are taking suitcases full of cash to Mogadishu to support terrorism. There were television ads, there were Facebook ads, this was the message. And I remember last year, I did a training, a delegate training, to urge Muslims to get involved, to make change. There were like 50 people in the room. You know, you do a training, 50 people come, that is considered a success. So we decided to do Facebook Live. And 1,000 people watched that video, and we considered that an amazing success. Okay, then the next thing I know, 10,000 people watched it, and I began receiving death threats. So what is causing these? By the way, I received more than a dozen death threats for doing that one video. And you know, you have to take these death threats seriously, even if they're from another state, because somebody from Illinois drove all the way to Minnesota to bomb a masjid, right here in Bloomington. So when somebody in Texas or Pennsylvania threatens to kill me, you gotta take that seriously. And I'm looking, why? How does 10,000 people watch my video? How does this happen? It turns out there are 2 legislators who posted this video, and they said Muslims are taking over America. And you know, this is the interesting thing. So if we don't do politics, they say Muslims don't assimilate. We do politics, they say they're taking over. It's kind of like how immigrants are supposed to be both lazy and taking welfare and stealing our jobs at the same time. Like, dude, either they're doing jobs or they're not. How you say both? So now I want to tell you this. We have a choice when that attack happens. This attack, by the way, is part of Allah's plan to wake the Muslim Ummah up. By the way, this cycle has repeated before. We are not the first community to be suffering. It happened also in Bosnia. It's happening in India right now. It's happening in Myanmar. Happened in Afghanistan. It happened in Andalus. So it can go both ways. The choice we as a community have to make, and what we made at that time, is we said, no, we are greater than fear, and we are going to build an alliance, and we are going to counteract this negativity. So this counteracting this negativity is an important decision to make. Because usually when people get attacked, they hide. We said, no, we're not going to hide. We are not going to hide. We are going to come out, we are going to own the narrative, and we're going to say, no, we Muslims, we have something to say. By the way, I have good news for you, because Minnesota was the first state in the nation where 28 imams gathered together to endorse candidates. And they literally said to the people, these 2 people have attacked Islam, we want you to vote for their opponent. And I want to tell you a further good news. All 4 of those candidates who campaigned on open and naked bigotry, they were defeated. In the case of 2 of them, they were defeated with less than 150 votes. Allahu Akbar. Say Allahu Akbar. The Allahu Akbar is free, you don't have to pay. Say Allahu Akbar. Okay. By the way, in other states where Muslims did not unite, in Minnesota where Muslims united, hate and bigotry lost 100% of the time. Now here is the bad news. In other states where Muslims did not unite, hate and bigotry wins. You know, that is why one party keeps pushing this narrative, because this is a winning solution in other states. But not here, not in Minnesota. So today I want to do something more practical. I want a commitment from everybody in the room, and after you give me this commitment, I will let you listen to the great words of Sheikh Walid Bassiouni. Otherwise, I'm holding him hostage, okay? It's like a hostage situation. I want a commitment. Can I see a show of hands? I want a commitment from each person that they will participate in engaging the Muslim community in civic matters and political matters in 2020, just 3 months from now. Can I see a show of hands? Can anybody who did not raise their hand, Brother Luli, take down their name, we're gonna come visit them. No, raise your hands, let me see your hands. Come on. This is good for the ummah. I'm not doing it for myself, I'm not running for office. Okay, now, Abdullah Farah, are you here? Where is Abdullah Farah or Khalid Omar? Are they here? They're here? They're in the other room? So I want a commitment from each person, and inshallah Abdullah Farah will come in a few minutes. Each person who raised their hand, just go give your name, your phone number, and your email address to him. He will have a form in a few minutes. I'm sorry he's not here right now. I was supposed to be at the end, but anyway, it's all good. And we want you to volunteer. By the way, we don't want you to volunteer more than 3 times. I'm getting a 2-minute warning, okay? So we want you to volunteer 3 times next year. That's it, 3 times. We'll just make a few phone calls to your friends or knock on a few doors. But at the end of the day, we want the Muslim community engaged. Can I get a commitment from everybody for that? Raise your hands. One more time. I'm not seeing hands. Asif, your hand is up? Okay. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Should I end here? This is a good problem. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
So I think everyone, almost everyone knows our next speaker, Imam, Sheikh, Dr. Walid Bassiouni. And I have to say one thing about the Imam particularly, is Ammar shared this beautiful video of your masjid in Clear Lake that made some of us really jealous. If you don't know that video, just go to Ammar's Facebook page and look for the video on the tour of the masjid in Clear Lake. Without further ado, I would like to invite Imam and Sheikh and Dr. Walid Bassiouni.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys doing? Good, mashallah. This morning I was in New Jersey, and I've been seeing some of the messages and good talk about your conference, and some of the speakers sending me messages telling me how a wonderful crowd you guys are. And always been my pleasure to answer the call of my brothers and sisters in this beautiful community. May Allah preserve you and preserve your leaders and your state, your community. And every time I come, I'm not worried about Clear Lake Islamic Masjid. You guys, if we have a building, you have a community. You have people who I wish to be, around. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you all. I was asked to speak about trials and challenges and how these trials and challenges shape us and help us to develop. And there is no doubt that each and every one of us will go through challenges in life. And sometimes we feel our challenges are the worst challenge ever. Last night I was with a group of esteemed scholars and leaders in America among our community, and somebody asked, everybody can share with the group some of the challenges and the success, like a good story and kind of hard, moment or incident in their life for the last year. So everybody started sharing, and I swear Allah subhanAllah, and I didn't need to do that, but every time somebody said the challenge that he or she went through, we would say, oh my God, that's it. Then the next one come with something even much harder. Then we said, that's it. Then the third one, and so I remember reading a story of a man who people keep complaining to him about, he's a wise man, about their problems. So he said, everyone write your hardship in a piece of paper and give it to me. So he got all of these papers and he mixed them together. Then he told them, come, everybody pick a random paper. So everybody picked somebody else's problem. And when they opened it and they looked to other people's problem, everybody said, you know, give me my paper back. You know, I'm happy with what I have. I can deal with my own struggle. Sometimes we forget that, we're not alone in this. And this is how the nature of this life. I want you, when you wake up in the morning, and if you have a hardship or hard time dealing with something in your life and you look at the mirror, you just remind yourself that just another day of this life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ يَا أَيُّهَا الْإِنسَانُ إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ كَدْحًا فَمُلَاقِيهِ. Oh mankind, you will live in struggle. That test and trials is part of our life and part of the test that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have put in this earth. هو الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم. Many verses in the Quran telling us Allah created this earth, this world, gave life and death as a form of test. And it's so important when we go through these moments of difficulties and challenge to ask ourselves, what is the wisdom behind that? What Allah wants from me? When Allah put us through tough time and a hard time as individuals, as family, as a community, as a society or a country, a nation, there is a wisdom behind that. That God wants to teach us something so we can pause and start reflecting. Many times when people come to me and said, Sheikh, please pray for me. Pray for my circumstances to change. You know, I have a lot of trouble at home. I have a son who I couldn't, control. He's so wild, causing so much trouble. Sheikh, I have a bad habit I'm not able to quit. You know, I'm living in misery. I'm in debt. I have someone who's sick, or you yourself may be going through this sickness and illness that you struggle with. Maybe you don't have a job. Whatever the issue is, everybody has share of these issues. But what you need to do, sometimes when people ask me, Sheikh, pray for me that Allah change my circumstances. I say to myself and to those people usually, what if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes you need to think that Allah may be not interested in changing your circumstances as much as He's interested in changing you first. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah will not change your circumstances until you change yourself. So Allah put you through that hardship because He wants you to get a wake-up call for you to start thinking what I need to change in my life. What things I need to approach it differently. And that's something so important to reflect upon as these trials and challenges and tests that we go through in life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful and so good. When He put us through trials and hardship, His intention is not to put us down or to break us. Actually, He wants to raise us up, to make us stronger. I was told when I hired a personal trainer, he told me, you know what you need to know? In order for you to burn some of the fat and to build a good body, you need to burn the fat. And one of the best things to do that is to build what? Muscles. But in order for your muscles to grow, I have to tear it first. I have to make you exercise hard so these muscles will start growing. And you all know, no pain, no gain. So that's how it is. These tests, these hard times, these difficult moments, these challenges that you go through, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to grow strong because you know the value of the person. And the ultimate measure of a person is not where they stand in a time of comfort and, in a time of ease. It's actually inconvenient, but rather where they stand in a time of challenge and controversy. That's what makes you so valuable. That's what makes you so important, is what you stand for and because these tests, it shows the real you from inside. That's why when it comes, one of the things that you need to know, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to grow with that test. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, يُبْتَلَ النَّاسُ عَلَى قَدْرِ إِيمَانِهِمْ. People will be tested according to their faith, to their ability. So I assure you that Allah will not put you in a test and a trial you cannot handle. He knows what you're capable of, but He pushes you a little bit. And that push, it's in order for you to grow, to be stronger. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah was asked once, أَيُمَكَّنُ النَّاسِ ثُمَّ يُبْتَلَوْنَ أَمْ يُبْتَلَوْنَ ثُمَّ يُمَكَّنُونَ? Which one comes first? You lead the community and society, then you're tested? Or you tested first, and as a result of that test and the result of that challenge that you go through, then you will be a leader? He said, definitely you will be tested first. Didn't you read what Allah said in the Quran? وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يُوقِنُونَ. When they were patient in the time of calamity and hardship, we made them leaders. These challenges that happen to you in your life are an opportunity for you to grow, to become stronger. And I always give the example of the black diamond and the charcoal. And I always say this to many occasions, and maybe some of you heard me saying this before. Charcoal is something so, as an item, it's cheap. It's not valuable. While black diamond is a very valuable rock. You know the difference between the diamond and the black, or the black diamond and the charcoal, even though both are made from same element, carbon. This one is so cheap and this one is so expensive. You know why it's so expensive? Because it resists pressure. While charcoal, you can crush it with any pressure with your hand. The person who resists pressure is precious. The person who has the ability to resist that pressure is strong in a time when there is pressure on you and you stand strong. That shows the value of you. That makes you someone of value. And you look at all successful people in history, successful business, you will see how they've been through so many trials and troubles, and that's what made them grow. Adversity often pushes us into our divine destiny. We reach through these adversities, through these trials and tests, a level not only in this life, but also in Jannah. We would never reach according to or based just on our actions. I'll give you an example to wake everybody up here a little bit more. Can I ask everybody to stand up? I'll do an exercise with you guys. Everybody, if you can. Okay, I want you to be a team of two, and I'm gonna do the MC here. I want you to do like this. Just put your hand against my hand. Can you put your hand against your brother's hand or sister's hand?
Class.
Just kidding. Okay, so just put your hand against each other like that. Stretch your hand. And I want group A, their back toward this wall, and group B toward the curtain. So if you can do that. Or whatever, just decide which one is A and B. So what I want A to push, and I want B to resist. And when I tell you, let it go, B, don't resist. You ready? Let's try it. He's A. Push, push, resist, let it go. Okay, let's do the other way around, see how it works. I'll push, 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 let it go. Good. Okay, sit down. Nice. Okay. Did you notice something, those who did this exercise or at least watch it? Do you notice that when there is no more resistance, what happened to the person who was pushing? What happened? You fall. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put that push back in your life, that adversity, that hardship to push you back so you keep balance. Without that pushback, you lose your balance. If you always live, in that comfort, you don't really grow. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it part of this life, is to put that push back so you stay fresh, you stay strong, you stay active. It's interesting how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring so much goodness through a hardship or a calamity. Another point I want to mention in regard to the calamities and the adversities that we deal with is don't ever, ever be led by your problems. Every time you wake up in the morning, don't ever think about your problems. Think about your dreams. There is a big difference between communities driven by their problems and community driven by their dreams. A community that feel all what they need to do is just to survive, and a community that what they see themselves thriving and leading. And Allah said about this ummah, kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are a nation brought to lead humanity. Don't ever let the problems to occupy your heart or your mind and settle in your heart. Don't let the problems of life always cover your eyes. It is some not saying ignore it or live as if there is no problem in your life. No. I know that there's problems there and I have my eye on them and I know that I'm dealing with them, but I'm gonna not let it control my life. I'm not gonna let these problems the thing that lead me. Can you imagine Martin Luther King, which is you all familiar with, when he gave that famous speech and he said, I have a problem, and instead of I have a dream. Can you imagine the difference between the two approaches? If he came to his community and said, I have a problem, and instead of saying, I have a dream. There's a big difference when you are driven by your dreams and driven by goals in life and driven by your problems. Another example I love to give, life is like riding a bicycle. The only way to keep balance is to keep going. Keep that in mind. You have to keep going. You have to move on. You can't just make one problem, dominate your life, dominate your thinking, and you think that that's it. No, you should push hard and you keep going and keep going and keep going. And some of things that maybe will not be changed today, it will be tomorrow. Maybe things I need to learn how to live with, how to adjust with. But I have to minimize the problems and to make sure that it does not control my life. I control my problems. And believe me, I'm a very realistic person. I know that there's so many problems out there, but also I am 100% that there's so many solutions out there. I want to make sure that when you deal with these problems, you don't let these problems ever knock you from your inside. It might knock you from outside, but you stand up again on your feet. But the moment you're defeated from inside, the moment you lose hope, the moment you don't see, a bright side, the moment from inside you're defeated, has become a big, big problem. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the believers when they lost the battle of Badr, the battle of Uhud, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ. Don't be sad. Don't be, worry. Even if you lost a battle, you are al-a'lun. You are upon the truth. You are above them, even if they defeated you in one battle, in the battlefield. That's izzah from inside, that strength, that confidence that make you stand up tall will never let anything in life ride your back. Because it would only ride your back when you bend, when you're defeated from inside. Make sure when we deal with our problems, and that's one of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to think and reflect upon, that we don't deal with the symptoms. We should go with these challenges in life to look at the root cause of these problems. How can we deal with the root causes of the problem? So many times, for example, I give you, Sheikh, I have a problem. You know what? My kids doing drugs. My kids doing this. My kids doing that. They don't listen to me. And when we look at, I said, how much time you spend with your kids? Are you a friend? Do you know much? What do you know about your kids? Do you know them? You think you do, but not necessarily true. Yep. What I want you to think about when you have these problems is to look at the root cause. Maybe the problem that you're disconnected from your children's life. Maybe the root problem that they feel you don't love them, even if you do, but you don't know how to express that. You don't understand them. Maybe you talk more than you listen. Maybe you never give them a chance. So you need to, when you deal with these problems, to go to the root cause of it. I want you, when you have these challenges in life, to watch your words, because words affect how we think, affect our psychology, affect our moods. Make sure that you always have these positive, beautiful words. Make sure that you fill your heart with optimism. Optimistic people, successful. Optimistic people, happy people. Pessimist and being like, always being negative, it will not take you anywhere. Allah said, and if you negative and angry at God, you're only gonna stay in the same status quo and nothing will change. You'll be angry all the time and negative all the time. Nothing will change. But when you become positive, it gives you the ability to see hope. There is an interesting study was made on, they put, and I will end with this, we'll put in mice. They put two mice in a container where one of them was completely dark and the other one, there is light on a door. So the one was in complete darkness, drowned in 30 minutes. While the one was, there is a light on the door exit for the mice, survived 36 hours. 36 hours versus 30 minutes. That's incredible. 700 times longer. 700 times longer. Why? Because the one that has the light on the door has hope that he will get out. It's the same thing. When you have that hope, you fight hard. You start analyzing things and finding solutions. But if you lose that hope, it becomes so difficult to get out of that tunnel. If even when you see the light in the end of the tunnel, you think it's the train. That's how negative you are. That's no good. That's not going to take us anywhere. Finally, thank you very much. But don't forget, one of the things that is so important in the time of trouble and adversity and challenges is to be more connected to Allah, to pray to Him, to beg Him, to go and check your iman, your relationship with God. Sometimes He puts you that hardship because He wants to see you more in your knees praying to Him. Because as they say, one of the best positions to pray when you're on your knees, down. He put that pressure to put you down just to put you on your knees so you can pray. Remember, that Allah maybe want to see you in the night praying, reading Quran, early in the masjid, making the sadaqah, visiting your relatives. He want to see these tears coming down. He wants you to repent from these sins, purify your income. You know, return the things that doesn't belong to you to the people that you took it from them. Stop abusing others. Maybe these things, if you change it, your situation will change. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for each and everyone who going through hardship. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help and aid and support those who are suffering among us, in our community, in our society, in our country, and around the world. Sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Takbir. Takbir. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who benefit